Hello, and tonight I'm gonna paint a pillowcase. So this is a pillowcase that comes with my basic paint kit. It has like a colored cotton on the back. You can pick different colors. And it's a 16 by 16-inch pillowcase. The front is muslin. And I am just gonna paint a pillowcase with a Bible verse on. It's a very nice gift to give to somebody that has everything. I like to paint with a sponge. So this is just a normal sponge, and I am gonna dip the sponge in my water and I squeeze it while it's in the water. Then I take it out. Oops, and I squeeze a little bit of it out. So this is just blue with a lot of white. I'm using a very watery paint, and I'm just gonna, I might need more water. And I'm just gonna paint this whole front of the pillowcase. Make sure I get every corner. I traced my picture with a Sharpie. And I wrote my words over here with a Sharpie. The paint's not totally mixed, so you might see some blue lines come through. That's totally okay. The pillowcase also has like a plastic lining in between to make sure this paint doesn't go through to the blue fabric in the back. Don't worry if you go into your church, that's all fine. Okay, so now I'm squeezing some of the water out here, and I am gonna take my big 3/4 inch brush, and I am just gonna go around the sides. I've put some tape on here to protect the blue. So I am just gonna make sure I get all of this, and I don't want that to run. See, like that edge over there. Just need to make sure we have paint on there. And that's the edges all covered. So now I'm gonna take my white and my brush, and I'm still keeping the big brush, and I am just gonna paint my church white. Don't worry if you go into the windows, that doesn't matter. When you use water with your white over here, it's still very wet. You don't want to use too much water coming down here because it will bleed like watercolor paint would bleed from bleeding. Now I can use water to fill the inside over here. Okay, so now we're ready to paint the windows, and I want to make them look a little bit like stained glass. So I'm making a pink over here, which is a very, let's make it a little lighter, like a baby pink. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put blobs of paint down. And some of them I will make a line. I'll put a blob, maybe another blob. Yeah, how many colors do I have? Like 4 colors. So you want to cover about 1/4 of the windows. You can definitely make a cross or whatever pattern you want to make. Let's try and make some kind of pattern here. Okay, now I'm gonna go to a different color. Let's get some of this white there. Use a little bit of yellow. Just softening up the yellow a little bit. Let's go to the green. Okay, now blue. Some of that white here. And those are my very pastel windows. Okay. I am going to paint the door quickly, and I am just going to use brown and a little bit of, I like to shake my container and then I usually paint from the lid, but I want a little bit of a lighter color, so I have this brown here too. So I'm just going to clean the brush a little bit, grab some of this. I'm just going to put it on this lid. And then I'm going to paint from the lid. Should have painted from the clean lid. Okay. So I'm going to start out with the lighter color. And maybe we should use a bigger brush. Okay, now I'm just going to take the darker color and I'm just going to pull some lines on top of here. And you will see the brush. If you push hard, the brush will push the paint to the side, and that would create lines coming down. You can also take the back of your brush and like pull some lines through the wet paint and expose the dry paint underneath. That might also make it look more like wood. I'm gonna just put a little bit of a brown line up. Oops, I'm shaky. Up here, just so that cross has some shadow there. Okay, and then we can make like a little path here. Oh, I got some red on my brush. It doesn't matter. all the different colors. You can also take your sponge, just smooth this out. Maybe want a little bit darker there. Too much. Okay, let's paint some grass. I'm gonna put some grass up down here. So I'm just gonna use my green. I try and keep my brush very flat, use a little bit of green, and I am just gonna pull some grass. You don't want them all to just go one way. So I press down and I push up. But you want some of them to go over the others. We want a few here by the church. Okay, so now in order to make this go quicker, I'm just gonna put a little bit of green, very lightly. Put some green here so I can cover less. Use a lot of water. This way I need less brush strokes. Now I'm just gonna do a row a little lower down. That sort of goes over where that edge is. That's my grass. There's 100 different ways to make grass. This is how we do it today. Okay, so now I'm just gonna close this and we are gonna paint some flowers. I am going to get some white. Don't want to run out again. Here's my white and some red because I want pink flowers. Okay, I'm going to show you on a piece of paper what I'm going to do next. I am going to use my 1/4" brush and I put the paint on it and then I hold it sideways and I just I don't know if this will work, and I'm just gonna make little blobs like that, and I usually make like 5 of them. So all I do is I put it down sideways, and then some of the flowers are gonna have 5 and some are only gonna have 3. Some are going to be very watery and far away, and some are going to be closer. So let's start. And we're going to start. We want flowers here. Don't put them in a row. And the flowers in the back, just use a lot of water with your paint so that they look a little bit more faded and they're not so bright. Okay, now you can take your liner brush and you can make sure your flowers are all connected. So I'm just making sure like these over here kind of have a stem. So I'm just using my green. I'm just pulling making sure like this one might have something like this. This one to have a stem. And then if you pull the stem, like for this one, you can also just put a few dots down for leaves. I'm just going to use my yellow and some white. You might not even see it on the pink. This pink is it's a bright pink. Let's get some more white here. And we are just going to take the back of a paintbrush and I'm just going to mix those two colors and get a dot, and I'm just going to put a dot in each flower. So the ones that are like the faded ones, you just want a very light dot. You don't want a lot. You kind of want a watery one. Those are like half flowers, so they don't really get a dot. Okay, looks like they all have been dotted, so I will come back tomorrow and wait for this to dry, and then we're going to write the words with a Sharpie. But your paint has to be totally dry, so I will come back in 24 hours and we are going to write all of this with a Sharpie and outline with a little bit of paint. But for the Sharpie to keep on going and not die on us, we need to wait until it's dry.